buying local, and the 5 elements of Noogacentrism that we have begun to build out is this: near is better than far, small than big, and simple than complex. And down in the footnotes where the good people rage against us and rage against you, swearing differently, you fire back that personal is better than corporate and that physical is better than abstract. This is David Tulis with you. Our show is sponsored by Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. Now, people who are in the Airbnb field, who use Airbnb and like networks, find it a great benefit. There are some investors, some property owners who run houses and dwellings, renting them out short term for vacationers. Among them is Christian Thoreson. He runs Cabins of Chattanooga. He has 20 properties as far north as Dayton, and also in Chattanooga and North Georgia. Christian, you're in this short-term vacation rental business. Say something about your operation and what kind of folks you have coming to stay here in the Chattanooga area.
We manage 20 properties in the area. We've had vacation rentals since 2004, and we host people from all over the world, all over the United States. We have people from Japan coming. We have people from China. We have people from India. We just have an incredible amount of people that come to visit Chattanooga.
Well, what would you say about their moral character, since there seems to be among the complainants in this ordinance proposal, there are complaints that Airbnb visitors may be of poor character. They may be potential rapists. They may be kidnappers and the like. What have you? Please address that line of thinking.
We've had nothing but outstanding guests. We've never had any problems with any of our guests.
And how is that? How does that come about? How is it that you've had this assurance and have had this good experience, Christian?
We have a pretty good vetting process when we talk to people on the phone. We require people's ID to make sure they are who they are. They're not using somebody else's credit card. We talk to the people on the phone, and you can get a good feeling for who the person is and what the person is. We just don't rent just to anybody.
Now, is that something that you and your business, Cabins of Chattanooga, do apart from the normal vetting process through the Airbnb digital network system?
That is correct. Airbnb has a special system that's way better than some of the other platforms. As a host on Airbnb, you can determine what kind of person you want. You can put in there, I don't want anybody unless they have 2 forms of government ID already presented to Airbnb. I don't want anybody unless they have at least 4 good reviews on Airbnb. Or you can lower your standards and just take anybody. It's up to the host.
And so where's your level of comfort?
We're pretty strict on ours. We require 2 forms of government ID and good reviews before we rent to somebody.
And some people have many reviews. What is the range of number of reviews that your visitors have had?
Probably, we kind of held off from Airbnb for a while before we went on their platform. So most of our visitors probably have 6 to 8 reviews.
And that simply means that they've been guests of 6 to 8 other homeowners or property owners like yourself.
That is correct.
Now, what do you make of this? What do you make of this argument that visitors coming here are so dangerous to Chattanooga that schools such as GPS and St. Nicholas and St. Peter's have to have a 1,000-foot safety perimeter in the proposed Airbnb or a short-term vacation rental map that Chip Henderson is trying to get a vote on tomorrow? What do you make of that argument?
Personally, I think it's stupid.
Well, why?
I think it's all out of fear. People just don't understand. They don't understand the paradigm. They don't understand the people that are coming to Chattanooga. And some of them are coming here because they might want to move here. They might want to start a business here. They just don't understand it, so they're fearful.
And that really, really Airbnb and the options that you at cabins@chattanooga.com give are really tremendous. That gives people who come here, like you say, who may want to move here, it gives them another way of finding out about the city and its people by being in a private residence. That's much more intimate, to be in a neighborhood where they could meet Americans here, or meet Chattanoogans walking about or biking through, and they can't really do that as easily in a hotel, perhaps.
Yeah, they get to come here and they get to live like a local. They get to experience Chattanooga like a local. We give them recommendations for all the local restaurants, not the big corporate chains. We give them information about the local market on Sundays and things like that. If they come here, they get the opportunity to live like a local and actually experience. You can't do that in a hotel.
No, well, no, you can't. Now, it seems to me, Christian Thoreson, who runs Cabins of Chattanooga, that's online to my listener, cabinsofchattanooga.com. If you have someone coming into town and needs a place to stay, just check Cabins of Chattanooga. It seems to me that there's something contradictory in the arguments for public safety, contradictory to the idea of gig city. You know, we are the environmental city. We're sort of open to the world. We want to have, and we have already, a kind of international reputation for being clean and green and sustainable. And suddenly we're turning isolationist with this ordinance. Is that how fair an assessment would you say that is?
I'd say that's pretty fair. I think it's a little bit short-sighted.
Now, your comments recently in Chattanooga.com made a point that I think is worth looking at also. You are arguing there in a kind of a letter. The headline is "Illegal Short-Term Vacation Rentals Are Being Coddled." Your argument is that everybody who takes part in this short-term vacation rental market should be regulated. Is that right? What is your thesis?
Well, I'm a business, and I run a business, and I pay all my taxes. And a lot of the short-term vacation rentals, number one, it's not allowed in R1 or R2 zones, period. And it is allowed in R3 and R4. A lot of these people are essentially running a business out of their home, and they're not paying the taxes. They're not even aware that they're supposed to be paying the taxes. So if they're going to allow it, there has to be some kind of regulation, and they have to be on a fair and level playing field. They need to be paying their taxes just like we do.
And that's the point you're making, that you, Christian Thoreson of Cabins of Chattanooga, are licensed, are paying taxes. What licenses do you have, and what taxes do you pay? Just give a picture of your struggle with government.
We have two licenses. One's a vacation lodging service license, and the other one is a vacation lodging designated agent license. Both those are required by the state of Tennessee if you manage other people's properties. We pay sales and use tax. We pay hotel, motel tax, both city and county. We pay business tax in all the counties that we operate in. Walker County, Dade County, Ray County, Marion County, Hamilton County, and I think that's it. So
that's, I was moving my fingers as you rattled those off. Is that 6 counties? Did I count correctly?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So you have monthly payments and reports to 6 county governments and some city governments as well, Christian?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's monthly. That's a monthly headache that you have to endure.
Yeah. It's quite a bit of work. It's a lot of paperwork. We have a really good software system that keeps it all organized for us, so it's not that bad.
Well, let my listener hear briefly what your idea is about the map proposed by Chip Henderson. In what way is that map arbitrary and capricious? Because here my listener lives on one side of a street and I live on the other. He's in the district proposed by Chip Henderson that was written based somewhat on public acclamation and expressions of fear. He's in the district. I'm outside the district. I'm not going to be allowed in the proposal before city government in Chattanooga. I will not be allowed to have any short-term vacation rental at all. It'll be illegal for me to do so. Is not the map somehow arbitrary and capricious? What do you make of that, or is it a good idea?
It doesn't sound like a good idea. Just listening to you, to be honest with you, I've gotten so frustrated with the whole system over the last couple of years that they've been working on it that I really did not pay attention to this last proposal in the map.
Well, Chip Henderson says it's an improvement over what was shot down the last time very abruptly. He's trying to work with all the parties, and this he thinks has the best chance. And it seems Christian Thoreson of cabinsofchattanooga.com, it seems to have a real prospect of passage tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, listen, thanks very much. Again, tell my listener how to get a hold of you in case he has a guest coming into town and wants an Airbnb lodging to recommend. How does he get a hold of you?
They can call 657-777-2899, and we have 5 reservationists that are on duty about 20 hours a day.
Well, great. Thank you very much for chatting with my listener, Christian Thoreson of cabinsofchattanooga.com.
Thanks, David.
Well, there you have a man who is bedeviled by the details, though he has software to help him, and that is Christian Thoreson, who runs 20 Airbnb domains in the Chattanooga area, from Dayton down to North Georgia, in 6 counties, several cities, several municipal corporations, and he is laughing. He's laughing in many ways at the idea of the proposal by this before City Council that seems to have a smooth prospect, judging by the lack of a principled argument against the whole idea, against the very idea of an arbitrary map that seeks to regulate the internet. And so, in a way, as I analyze this legal disaster, right? So it's a legal disaster, which, given that we're Americans and we're very passive today, will be allowed to be put into ordinance with no one objecting for years. It'll be years and years and years, unless we have someone with a little bit of testosterone to say, absolutely not, and I'm suing. Okay, that's what we need to have. Someone who is going to take it on himself or herself to say, I'm laying aside $20,000 to manage my litigation against city government for the abuse of my exercising, the abuse of my rights and property. I have a property right, and I have a right to have people in my home whom I want to. Whether I make money or not is beside anybody's business. This is a private home, and here we have a man in business saying, well, given the rules as they are, many are doing it illegally, and he's right. And so, but what is the argument that we're making? Well, the argument that we're making is that the city should just absolutely leave the whole thing alone. There should not be a map. There should not be a control at all. And the fact that most Airbnb and related platform families in Chattanooga are doing it illegally should simply be overlooked. Because the problem is not with the ordinance. The problem precedes the ordinance, and that is zoning itself. Zoning itself is an unconstitutional taking. It is arbitrary and capricious, and it puts into hands that don't deserve to have the authority the use and control of the use of property. In places such as Houston, there is no zoning, and you have a tremendously prosperous city where the poor can make their way. The problem with zoning is that it slowly raises prices, and it prices the poor out of Chattanooga. And do we really want that? And some people say, well, absolutely, we don't want poor people in Chattanooga. But the question is it just to have zoning and have property prices rise and constantly rising, and people who are the maids who work in restaurants, who are cooks, who work in maybe lower paying jobs, they have to travel further and further to get to their work because they can't afford to live near their employers in the city. That is the problem of zoning, that it makes not just homelessness more certain, but it makes the use of transportation facilities and transportation infrastructure more sure, right? More used if you have prices higher and the poor are excluded. So as we're hearing from Christian Thoreson of cabinsofchattanooga.com, he has to pay taxes. He's above board, and many others are beneath board, right? Many others are in the gray market, the gray economy. The city, Donna Williams, in the economic redevelopment office of the mayor, she is going to launch a spy system, a surveillance system, as she told the city council, that will screen grab and time stamp anybody involved online involved in the rental proposal for between a visitor and that property owner. and penalize and bring enforcement action to bear upon that person who is an outlaw. And city government does not need to be involved in outlawing anybody. It does not need to be involved in having a map at all. The free market argument in this issue is there should be absolutely nothing done. There should not be mistake piled upon mistake to cover the first mistake. The first mistake is zoning, and the map that Chip Henderson has proposed, though well intended, is not a fix. It just compounds the mistake. It just worsens the mistake. Are we going to fight against the internet? Is Chattanooga, you might say in many respects, a legacy system? Is the legacy system of municipal government going to fight against the digital economy, against the sharing economy? Well, I think it is going the wrong way to propose to do so. City of Chattanooga should not do that. It should not afflict upon the people an arbitrary and capriciously drawn map that is arbitrary and capricious however it is drawn. There cannot be a map that avoids the problem. There just cannot be a map. The map itself is arbitrary and capricious. And it is part of the great history of cartography. Maps have always been used by warring sides, by imperially minded nations to show that they're surrounded, or that their domains are too small, or that we control all these areas and we can control more. Maps are things that governors and princes and kings used to make themselves confident of the subjection of their peoples to them, because after all these towns, all these villages, all these rivers, all these farms and fields and factories are within my domain, and they belong to me. That is what maps teach the viewer of them, especially the one who has drawn the map, and now has plans he wants to execute for the benefit of his people, by making a new highway, by having a bit of urban renewal, by making way for a new public school, or a new government factory, maybe a new government tractor factory, maybe a new government sedan factory. Who knows what this planner with his map is not likely to do. There's a PR person who from Airbnb writes in Chattanoogan.com and says that last year 24,000 guests were part of the network. And Christian Thoreson points out that the people who come to Chattanooga and stay here at a private home often are people who are looking to relocate, right? They're here to get a sense of another place. Sometimes people have no intention of, are not looking to relocate, but they come here and they have a wonderful experience. I have heard that kind of story many times in my journalism work here at Nooga Radio and at Nooganomics. I've heard that story many times. People are just passing through and they fall in love with Chattanooga. They have good experiences with the people. And so they want to move here. They want to relocate businesses here from oppressive states such as Massachusetts with this queer theory, or even Canada. They come here because it's freer, it's more open, it's in the South, there's a pleasant climate, we have a beautiful geography, and they want to come here. He has people from Japan, China, India. They are vetted by Airbnb. He vets them himself. Many of them have been at 6 or 7 other rentals, and so they're rated by the homeowner of those other places, and he takes only the best. He doesn't take just anybody, and that is his option. So we have tomorrow in the City Council a vote that is on a map that's capricious and arbitrary. It is something that whose defects cannot be fixed with surgery. It cannot be fixed with makeup. It cannot be fixed with words. You can't add more words or take away words from the proposed zoning ordinance edit, which is prints out to about 7 or 8 pages. It is arbitrary and capricious in another way as well. The idea of fining people who don't go along $50 a day, that is arbitrary and capricious, because the $50 fine rule in the Constitution forbids city governments from doing anything in the way of punishment. They have the authority to fine, but it is $50 a day for an offense, period. And it's arbitrary to say that every day that passes is an offense. That is simply not reasonable, and it is arbitrary and capricious. But that too would have to be challenged by someone who says, no, No, that's arbitrary and capricious. Someone has to know that in order to stand his ground. And so that's what I'm here to do for you, my listener, to benefit you, is to give you the right concepts, the right ideas, so that you might stand forth and say, I've got a right to put my home up on the market like that. I need another income stream. And you're right, David Tulis. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to invest in my family. And I have a wonderful property in which I'm going to invest. And I'm going to take part in the short-term vacation rental market. And the city of Chattanooga, it has no business trying to stop me, regulate me, tax me, license me. And I'm going to proceed. David Tulis, Nooga Radio. I've got some important messages.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.